What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences DFS show here on Friday, September 26th. Down to the wire in the MLB season. 3 days to go. We wrap up on Sunday. A lot to play for some teams and nothing to play for others, kind of all over the board in terms of team motivation. And a lot to talk about. What do we have? 12 games.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a fun slate, Steve, and maybe one to get maybe a little bit different or take, some contrarian opinions, because there's like more uncertainty on this baseball slate, and then a little bit more tomorrow, and then maybe even more on Sunday than we see through most of the year. So we've been digging in all day. I know a lot of people have been watching the Ryder Cup or working or doing whatever, but we got you covered on what these teams are looking at, motivations, hopefully picking out some good players for the people, and hopefully ending strong on the final Friday night fireworks of the season. Playoff baseball, Steve, I think we'll be here on Tuesday morning, and I bet we'll have a few more shows as we go along, assuming people want the playoff baseball takes from the two of us. I'm guessing it'll be mostly us doing playoff baseball for the people. But Steve, been a fun season, and hopefully a fun night tonight. So how are you doing on this Friday afternoon, Steve?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We do have a huge slate. Got the Ryder Cup on in the background. Hopefully we can flip a couple of these late four balls here going into the weekend. But yeah, huge slate. Like you were saying, I think slates like this, you and I do pretty well because it's more contextual than just kind of relying 100% on the projections. There's a lot of context in what these teams are going to do, and a lot of it is kind of just us projecting what we think the situations are going to be, especially with the pitchers. So I've got a bunch of pitchers on my list for tonight. A lot of them are cheap too. So pretty big pool. I'm excited. We haven't really had a last weekend of baseball like this with so much still up in the air. With the AL East, the Blue Jays are tied with the Yankees. The Blue Jays have the tiebreaker there. Cleveland tied with Detroit after being down, 15 and a half games in late July. Cleveland is now in the driver's seat. If they tie, they win the Central. But yeah, we'll go into it more on a situational basis as we go game by game. But yeah, excited for it. Lots of cheap pitching, which means that we can pay up for our stud bats. I know that's usually your preferred outlet anyway, so should be fun.
Yeah, you keep us updated on the Ryder Cup. I decided many years ago that I'm unable to do a good show while watching sports on a side TV. So when I get in for this hour of trying to give the takes to the people, it's just the show, just baseball. Turning off my ADHD is too strong, Steve. I can't have the TV over here. My eyes would be over there constantly. And I won't name names, but I've done too many shows with people checking their phone, looking at TVs, and it's just very distracting for the co-host, for the people. So I'm dialed in on the baseball. You're a more focused individual than I am, so you can handle both, I'm sure. Let's get into the games. We do start off in Yankee Stadium. Yankees, big game here, down to the wire with the Toronto Blue Jays for the AL East title. On the other side, Orioles, obviously nothing to play for. They've been okay here down the stretch. I do think a team of mostly young kind of prospects who are, maybe not playing for the team, but playing for something themselves. So I do think we'll see two teams doing their very best to win this game. And, Orioles going into Yankee Stadium Friday night, they definitely want to play spoiler as well. Yeah. So I do expect 100% effort from both of these teams. Will Warren going for the Yankees. He's fallen off for sure a little bit down the stretch, but still positive season overall for Warren. He's 7,400 on DraftKings. I did look into him a little bit, but I think, 6 or 7 lefties or switch hitters in the lineup for Warren, who does have some pretty big splits, especially when it comes to the strikeouts. They really kind of evaporate for him against left-handed bats. So that did take me off of Warren a little bit. And then Trevor Rogers. What a season for him. Kind of a little bit out of nowhere for Rogers. Looks to, give one last strong start. Did face this Yankees team in his last start and put up 29 DraftKings points against him in that one. I mean, he did it once. I suppose he could do it again. I'm not paying the $9,600 price tag for Rogers myself against the Yankees, but maybe as a super low owned play. I mean, what do we have there on Rogers? Probably just a couple percent owned, I would imagine.
Yeah, I actually already X'd him out.
Yeah,
we got under 5% on Rogers here.
Yeah, can't be much higher than that, like you said. So I guess as a contrarian play, he's probably okay. But talk to us, Steve. What are you doing with Orioles and Yankees here?
Yeah, interesting series, like you said. O's will definitely try to play spoiler here. Yankees obviously need these games big time, going up against the Jays for the division, like we said. I believe the winner of this division is going to be the 1 seed, most likely, especially if it's Toronto. So a huge swing here. Huge swing from winning this division versus getting that wild card spot. So just massive games here this weekend. Warren, I liked a little more earlier in the day when it looked like Holiday and Basayo were going to miss this game. They're both in the lineup. I can pull it up here. We do have both lineups starting with Baltimore. Warren has been good at home. Like, it's mostly been on the road where he's had struggles. He's got a 3.28 ERA at home, 1.19 whip, 89 Ks in 82 innings. Like you said earlier, it's a must-win game. So if he struggles, they're going to go to the pen early. But and there's a couple of spots like that we have today. But I think that you're really good at bringing this up when we talk about this. If he's struggling and he gets pulled early, you weren't going to win anyways. So I do think that if he pitches well, he's going 5-6 innings here, does have strikeout upside. I think he's a reasonable play. I don't like him as much as I did before when I thought that this was going to be maybe a more right-handed heavy lineup, though. So mild interest in Warren. I don't love the Baltimore lefties just because, you're playing them to attack Warren, but they're not going to let him get shelled in this spot. And the bullpen is nasty behind him. So don't love the Baltimore bats. Going up against Rogers, it would be the right-handed power, Judge and Stanton. I think two of the best one-off plays on the entire slate. We're going to talk about plenty of cheap pitching. So I think the big-time one-offs and two-mans are particularly interesting on this slate specifically. So I'm going to play a ton of Judge and Stanton as one-offs. Don't love the rest of the lineup. We've got a bunch of pinch hit risks too, with Rosario and Slater definitely coming out of this game at some point. So yeah, it's mainly the two guys from the Yankees. I might have some Warren and no Rogers here for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on most of that. These Baltimore lefties do look pretty good to me. You mentioned the bullpen. It is almost all right-handers coming out of the bullpen, other than Hill for the Yankees. And a little bit of wind blowing out to right field. Obviously, you got the right field porch. If you look at, if you have Ballpark Pell and you kind of, obviously they give you the overall home run percentage increase. But if you click on the stadium itself, it kind of gives you where the home runs, what part of the stadium really affects that. And I mean, this is grading out. Home runs out to right field are looking really, really good in this park. We know Warren struggles against lefties. And honestly, most of these Orioles lefties, like, they have flaws, right? There's a lot of strikeouts here, but they do have power. I mean, Holiday, Henderson, Beavers, Cowser, Basello. I don't know if I can play Adley Rutschman, but there is a lot of power in this Orioles lineup. So I do like these guys to some degree. Obviously, 12 games, a lot to choose from. But yeah, Orioles lefties look pretty good. And then, I'm not going to play Rogers, but I guess I'll just kind of hope that he can have one more good outing here, because I'm not going to play a ton of Yankees as well. Let's go to Tampa Bay and Toronto. Obviously, the Blue Jays competing with the Yankees for that AL East title. So about as big of a regular season game as you can get for the Blue Jays here. They'll be a full go behind Shane Bieber, who we've been on. He's been good for the Blue Jays. No discount with Bieber, priced at 9,800. He's been kind of right there for the month and a half that he has pitched. But does have an okay matchup here. There are strikeouts in that Rays lineup. And we do expect Bieber to, get his 90 pitches that he pretty much gets every time out. So Bieber, listen, honestly, I'm probably not spending up at pitcher at any of my lineups today because we'll talk about some cheap pitchers later in the slate that I like more. But for people that, have a cheap stack that they like or just want to spend up at pitching for whatever reason it is, Bieber is my top option, even at 9,800. And then Hauser going for the Rays. He's another one of the guys. There's a few on the slate with big splits. Big struggles for Hauser against lefty bats. Yeah. Lucas, I think it is. Barger and Varsho would be the three that I would look at. And then actually Santander, too, down at 2,800, hit a home run yesterday. Back from the dead, man, Santander. When did he last play before he came back in May?
It feels like May, right?
And he was awful.
He was awful, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean –
what a big addition to their lineup right before the postseason, too.
Yeah.
He can come back.
So he's interesting, I think, at a super cheap price point. I'm off the Rays bats here, but I think the Blue Jays lefties in particular are interesting. And then, like I said, Bieber, it seems like a pretty good play, but I still don't think he's putting up 30 here. I mean, even 20 feels like a decent bet, but 25 I think is a stretch, and 30 seems like a giant stretch to me. So I don't know if I'm going to get to Bieber myself. I do think he pitches well, just not sure he does quite enough to get the job done in the end. Your thoughts here, Steve? Rays and Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think Bieber is the best play up top and the top arm, just kind of because of the context of this game and the importance. If he's cruising, he's going to go deep in this game. This is what, this is the type of game that you acquire Shane Bieber at the deadline for, is this exact type of game. I think they let him go deep, especially if things are going well. The Rays have kind of scuffled down the stretch against right-handed pitching, bottom 10 in both weighted runs created plus and ISO over the last couple weeks. He's the arm that I trust the most on this entire slate, salary, not a part of it. I trust that Bieber pitches really well in this spot. And, we'll talk about the 4K arm later. If you play Bieber and the 4K arm, you can still afford a lot of really good 5-man. So I'll probably be playing more Bieber than you just because of that. The average between those two arms is basically playing two 7K pitchers. So I do like Bieber here. I like him more than Kirby. We'll talk about Kirby later. I have some serious concerns about the duration for him. But, Bieber's been good. He hasn't popped a big strikeout game lately, but I just feel safe that he gets me about 20 DK here on a slate where there's a lot of question marks as far as the duration, especially with the arms at 8K and above.
If we look at the pitching ownership over, Sabres got Bieber projected for 35 to 40% ownership.
Yeah.
That's just too high of a number for me. Even if we just compare him to the previous game, you give me Trevor Rogers at essentially the same price at 5% owned over Bieber at 35. Rogers has been better, is a little cheaper, and is, what is that? Not a mathematician, but 1/7 of the ownership. To me, that makes more sense. So I'm not going to play Bieber at that number. I do agree with your take, and I kind of have the same thing. I do expect him to pitch pretty well, but it's not like this. It's not like the Rays are rolling out a scrub ass lineup, right? They got most of their guys in there. Not a particularly great place to pitch, and Bieber's not the highest strikeout guy in general anyway. So I think I'm going to have to move off of Bieber at what looks like some pretty heavy ownership. And then, like I said, Toronto lefties kind of where I'm looking for offense for the most part in the Rays and Blue Jays game. We'll keep it moving to Detroit and Boston next. This one in Fenway Park, which does rate out as one of the best, if not the best, hitters environments on the slate. Good night to hit in Fenway, hot, humid, and some winds blowing out to right center field. Obviously, the Tigers with everything to play for here, battling the Guardians down the stretch for the AL Central title. It'll be Casey Mize going for the Tigers. Been solid for them for sure. Not a ton of interest for me in Mize at 7,700. Again, I think you could see a quick hook for him if it doesn't go well. And then Kyle Harrison throwing from the left side for the Red Sox. I did look at Harrison. I do think he's a reasonable play. You're probably going to get close to 90 pitches from him. But the park factor here kind of took me off of Harrison. And then also just obviously the fact that I talk about this a lot. You know, the Tigers' bats are going to be as locked in as they possibly could be. So you're not going to get just a team rolling over to die here with the Tigers. So that was enough to take me off of Harrison. I do kind of think some of these Tigers bats, Torres, Perez, Torkelson, that you could throw in Jahmai Jones there too, but a pinch hit risk. They do hit lefties pretty well. Harrison, another guy with splits, and you've obviously got the Green Monster, which really accentuates just hits, right? Doubles, especially. Could see the Tigers top of the order doing some damage here, Steve. What did you see between the Tigers and the Red Sox?
Yeah, I ended up not on either of these arms. I just like others better. I do think that this is a game. These aren't the types of arms where I just kind of trust them to go deep. I think both guys have very, very short leashes here in what is the top-rated park on the slate outside of Sacramento for run environment. I agree. I like the heart of this Tigers order. I'm probably going to stay away from the pinch hit risks. Jahmai Jones is up to 3,500 now. It's just too close to a guy like Perez, who's going to play the whole game. Probably not going to play Ibanez, who's coming out at some point either. So yeah, it's going to be the heart of this order for Detroit. I think the Boston lefties are interesting too. You know, we're going to have the salary to play kind of who we want. So, you can play the top of this order. Story with a crazy good year, coming off the injury, Duran. So yeah, I don't love full stacks here because both teams really need this game, and you're going to see the top bullpen weapons on both sides, especially out of the Detroit pen here. So probably 1, 2, and 3 mans. Going to stick to the heart of that Tigers order and not play the pinch hit guys, and then the lefties I'll keep in the pool here for Boston.
Yeah, we do have to take our L to Mr. Jake Swales, who did defeat us on Tuesday. We were 10-0, now 10-1. Swales, he's been given his flagship ticket for tonight. I only had to download about 17 malware devices onto my phone to get him his money. Jake, you gotta be an adult and get a Venmo account. But no, we did get him his ticket money.
This is our guy, King of Queens from the Discord. We'll take him on tonight. Robert, I'll DM you the link in Discord. We got to go. We got to bounce back here, DC.
It would have been nice to go, if we had to lose when we had some good lineups and someone was just a little bit better than us. But I think Swales took us down with sub 80, sub 90 for sure. But it wasn't, we both had the Braves. Yeah.
Tuesday was a rough night because it started out great. We faded all the early offenses and then nothing that we had late just did anything, if I recall.
Yeah, Swales and I both had the 2 home run game from Money Michael Harris, but he was able to edge me in the end. We'll get it to Robert there for the maybe final ticket giveaway of the season. Maybe we'll do one during our playoff baseball shows as well. I think that's it for Detroit and Boston. Got to keep it moving here with so many games to talk about. We go to Cleveland next. Obviously, I feel like these games are well ordered where we got the teams competing for division titles, talking about them back to back. Guardians and Rangers in Progressive Field, a little bit of wind blowing in here, but should play around neutral in terms of the park factors. Two young right-handers, Slade, Ciccone going for the Guardians, coming off monster start, 34 DraftKings points against the Twins. Not really a believer in Ciccone at this point. 8K feels like too much to pay to me personally. And then I did include Jack Leiter in my write-ups. Not super crazy about him at 7,800, but he is one of the few pitchers, Steve, where, this could prove not to be true at all. But I do think the Rangers are going to let him go try to finish strong, right? Obviously, one of their prospects that I don't know if you can call it a prospect at this point, but they're hoping for a lot out of Jack Leiter. Going forward, he has been better. It is still a pretty good matchup. I mean, the Guardians' run has been mostly from their pitching, and then obviously from the Tigers' collapse too. Yeah. I'm still not scared of this offense using pitchers against them. I wish Leiter was a little bit cheaper, but I do think he gets his 90-plus pitches in this one. He is a talented arm, and the matchup is pretty good. So a little bit of interest in Jack Leiter, who, seeing him around 4 to 5% owned feels like a decent play to me. I don't see a lot here I love in terms of bats. Maybe, Jose Ramirez, always a good play. But beyond that, I just think there are better spots. What are you looking at, Steve, with Rangers and Guardians here?
Yeah, I like an arm here, but it's the Ciccone side at home at 8K. Like you said, Cleveland's starting pitching is just on an insane run right now. I think they said during the game yesterday, DC, they've allowed Cleveland starting pitchers have allowed 2 or less earned runs in 19 of the last 20 games. He's been a big part of that. He's got 25 plus DK in 2 of his last 3 starts. He's shown some more strikeout upside of late. This Rangers lineup is just totally gutted with injuries. We've been attacking them fairly often down the stretch. He's in a situation where they have no reason to not let him go if he's pitching well. But same deal here. If he does struggle, you're going to see the pen because they do need this game. I think he's a really interesting play at 8K. I'm going to play some of him, only seeing around 10%. And then I'm not going to play any Texas bats. The Cleveland pitching has been so good overall. But I do like the Ramirez one-off. We're going to be playing cheaper pitching on the slate. Third base is not super strong, and he's one of those guys who can just put up a score that clears the position by a lot. So I'll be playing a lot of expensive one-offs on the slate, and Ramirez will definitely be up there as one of those guys.
Yeah, Ramirez is an absolute gamer. I do think he's a player you want when the lights are brightest, when there's the most to play for. He'll be a fun play in the playoff slates as well. And
he's been awesome down the stretch too. He has like a 1,200 OPS over the last week or so. Hit this 30th bomb the other day. He's got 40 bags on the season too. Just an underrated superstar for sure.
He'll be doing everything he can to try to get Cleveland this win, and I'll be surprised if Ramirez doesn't have at least a pretty decent game here. Could do it with the power or the speed. I think he's a fun one-off, and frankly, it's a good slate for just playing the absolute best hitters at every position and going cheaper at pitching again. We'll get there. It's more toward the end of the slate on the cheaper pitches that we like. But in on Ramirez, let's go to Miami for the Mets and the Marlins. This Mets team, man, I don't know how they they might make the playoffs here, but they should have won so many more games. I mean, they got good, healthy seasons out of Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, Alonso, and still are, just a few games over 500. I don't really understand it from the Mets, but big game here. They'll go against Sandy Alcantara, who he was like the worst results pitcher in the big leagues for the first half of the season, has turned it around in the second half in a big way. If you look at the last 10 games for Alcantara, he's been a strikeout per inning guy. ERA in the mid threes. Pitching well for the Marlins down the stretch, and I do think they let him go here. And I would expect, frankly, 100 pitches out of Alcantara here. You can't say that about many pitchers on the slate. I'm still not playing him against this Mets team. And then, Brandon Sproat. The Sproat goat will go against this Marlins team. He seems just kind of average to me.
Yeah.
And such a big game for the Mets. It's hard to imagine they let him go deep into this one. I expect a pretty quick hook for Sproat. Frankly, even if he's pitching well, I think it would be likely 2 times through the order maximum for Sproat. So he's not on my radar personally at 7,300. I'm not playing Alcantara either at 7K against a Mets team that needs to win. And I think we're going to agree on most stuff on this slate, Steve. But I think one spot maybe where we're a little bit different. I like this Mets stack against Alcantara, who's I know he's been good. The season-long numbers, though, he's still been hit hard overall and hit hard, especially by left-handed bats, which is most of the Mets that you want anyway. Mm-hmm. And then I'll throw in, I always mention it when Alcantara's on the mound, league leader in steals allowed, 33 steals out of 34 attempts against Alcantara. Lindor is red hot. Soto is hot and can run. Nimmo, those top 3, all swinging from the left side, all with some speed, all swinging good bats. They're expensive, but you can afford any bats you want tonight if you're going cheap at pitching like both of us seem to want to do. And I assume low ownership on these Mets bats are relatively low. Pulling that up on my screen. Okay. They do have some ownership, 10, 15%. But I'm in on these Mets bats, particularly the top 3, but really the top 5. Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, of course, Alonso, and then McNeil is 3K as well. I think make a lot of sense as a high upside stack against Alcantara. Steve, what are you looking at between the Mets and the Marlins here?
This is my first spot on the slate where I'm going to play both sides here. The main thing for Sandy, besides how well he's been pitching, is what you said, just locked in duration. The Marlins are going to let him throw 100-plus pitches on this slate. I think the only other pitcher on the entire slate that you can say that about is Shane Bieber. I think basically everyone else has duration concerns. So he's in my pool just as a contrarian play, just because of the duration upside. If he does pitch well, he's going to get 20-plus DK because of the duration. So going to play some Sandy, but I'm with you with these Mets bats at the top of the order on the non-Sandy teams. I bumped up the 3 guys at the top of the lineup. Soto wants that 40-40 season. He will definitely be running tonight. Simple Jack, Jeff McNeil at second. As you go through and build lineups, you'll notice how weak the second base position is overall tonight. So any viable second baseman, I'm going to keep in the pool on this slate. So it's the top 5 plus Alvarez, who has the power at the catcher position for cheap. And then I'm not going crazy with anything on the Miami side. I probably won't end up playing much just because, the Mets bullpen is really strong and they're going to go to it the second that Sproat gets into any trouble.
Does anyone get more unwarranted hate from the baseball community in general than Juan Soto? I mean, this dude's got like a 930 OPS. He might put up a 40-40 season. He's got 43 home runs. People are saying, it's a disappointing season.
How many walks does he have this year? Juan Soto walks.
He's a fucking monster. I just don't get it why people.
He's got 125 walks too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, just locked in already in the prime of his career. I don't understand the Soto hate, but I love Soto tonight with the steals too. I mean, him and Lindor, man, they are going to run wild on Alcantara if they get a chance, and then get the power upside too. I really think they're a strong play. So I'm in on the Mets here in a pretty big way. Let's go to the next game on the slate, Pittsburgh and the Atlanta Braves. Fitting that we get the Atlanta Braves on this last Friday night of the season, Friday night fireworks. Seems like the Braves have been at home for every Friday night show for the last 3 years. but they are at home here again. And a good matchup for them, too, against Mitch Keller. Another one of these veteran arms. It's kind of faded a little bit down the stretch here in the second half of the year. Throwing a lot of innings, has Mitch Keller sitting at 172 innings. He's another guy you can run on, and he's another pitcher who does have some pretty severe splits, struggling against left-handed bats. Braves, nothing to play for, but at home on a Friday night, kind of the swan song for their manager, right? For their World Series winning manager, Snicker, who is going to be gone, I assume, after the season. I think we'll see the Braves put their best foot forward in this one. They've had some big games recently. I like them a lot here on Friday night against Mitch Keller and this Pirates bullpen. Mostly looking at the top six. That's Profar, Olson, Acuna, Baldwin, Kim, and Michael Harris. I think they do some damage here. So I'm in on the Braves totally, because I'm in on Joey Wentz as well. The season-long numbers for him don't look great, but I have him not much worse than a league average starter, maybe a number 4 type of guy. I think he's decent enough against this Pirates lineup to get the job done at 6K. He's been at 90 plus pitches in most of his starts recently, and if you look at who he's done well against and who he's struggled against, he's been very, very matchup dependent.
Yeah,
has gotten shelled by some good offenses, but has mostly pitched pretty well against the bad ones. Certainly has a good matchup here. 6K. I think he's going to get the full workload. I don't really see why not with the Braves. Nothing to play for. And if you're Wentz himself, you're going to be locked in here, right? You're pitching for your kind of big league career. You're kind of on the fringes of MLB rosters. So I think this is a pretty good spot for Wentz, and I like the correlation too between Wentz and this Braves lineup if you're looking to make one single entry or whatever. So all Braves for me here, but I like both sides of this one for the Braves, pitching and hitting. Steve, what do you see? Braves and Pirates.
Yeah, Wentz was also DFA'd by the Pirates and picked up by the Braves as the Braves just kind of rotate through pitching to end the season. I'm sure you saw they picked up Alek Manoah today too on waivers. Good call by JT.
They're just taking every stab, which they should be, right? It's like my dynasty football league. I'm already in sell mode, and I'm just shipping everybody out. Getting every backup running back that I can get. That's
right. Anyone with a pulse that might get a carry within 3 years, you got to pick up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll talk about the 4K guy later. If you don't want to go all the way down to him, if you're not comfortable, I think Wentz is a great play here at 6K. We'll talk about Alexander in the same range too. These guys aren't showing up as super owned. We're seeing about 10%. Lefties against the Pirates, man, is just the nut spot. We saw it yesterday. If anyone played that afternoon slate, DC, Nick Lodolo just have a monster game as a lefty against the same team.
I did play it, and I did have Nick Lodolo. So yes,
there you go. Pirates 29th in weighted runs created plus, 28th in ISO in the split over last month. Wentz's K-prop right at like 5.5, which on this slate is up there with the highest on the slate. So I think he's a great play here. I think probably gets the win at home because we do like the Braves bats too. So I'm hand in hand with you here. The good thing is we don't have to mess around with the bottom of this Braves order because of the pitching that we're using. So, you don't really need to get in the weeds with Nacho Alvarez or Brett Wisely. You can play the heart of this order, which is really who you want. Michael Harris has been really good down the stretch, and he's been running too. Almost got me to the top the other day with that 3-steal game. So, the Braves are still playing. It should be a good crowd at home here. And they probably beat up on the Pirates a little bit to end the season.
Snicker is going to step down, but because he's forced to, right? I think
that be like a mutual
mutual parting of ways.
Yeah,
between Snicker and the Braves feels pretty inevitable at this point. Had some good seasons, obviously, but I think Snicker's time has come in Atlanta. But yeah, I'm with you. I love this Braves team. And they're going to run, I think, on Keller. Is it Henry Davis behind the plate? I think he
Yep.
really struggles. I'll double check that in a moment. But yeah, this Braves team looks good here. What's their money line at, man? I think they win this game easily against the Pirates.
The Braves
Maybe.
money line right now, pulling it up, they're minus 150-ish. Seems like it should be.
Great bet. Yeah, great bet. Sign me up for the Braves there against the Pirates. I think we get the job done on both sides of the ball. Let's go to Milwaukee for the Reds and the Brewers in American Family Field. Two righties here. Quinn Priester going for the Brewers. Zach Littell going for the Reds. Brewers still fighting for the 1 seed. Is that right, Steve? I think
if they win tonight, they clinch the 1 seed. So this is full bore here for the.
They'd like to get the job done, right? Get their guys some rest. Obviously,
Yep.
been playing hard all season, so we will see the Brewers out for blood here. Probably get the job done, frankly, against the Reds. Littell has been very mediocre since coming over to the Reds. Not a lot of blow-up starts, right? He doesn't have a lot of starts where he's just getting absolutely nuked, where you need to have the stack against him. So I do love my Brewers, but not crazy about them tonight. I do think they're a decent contrarian play. Priester, I've certainly played a decent amount of him. He's been a really bright spot for this Milwaukee team. And he does seem like one that you could go to, right? You are probably going to get your 5+ innings out of Priester. He is reasonably priced at 8,500, and the matchup's good against the Reds, especially in Milwaukee. Very friendly pitchers umpire, Scott Berry, behind the plate too. I kind of wrote off Priester a little bit early, maybe, but it does seem like a pretty good spot for him overall. I'm interested in Priester, and then obviously the rest of this game, Steve, talk to us Reds and Brewers.
Yeah, I like Priester a lot. He's my second favorite pitcher above 8K here. Like you said, they've got to win this game. If they win, they lock up the 1 seed, and they get to rest their guys on Saturday and Sunday going into the postseason. Priester's been really, really good all season. 3.2 ERA, high ground ball rate, over 50%. Estimators under 4. He's been really, really tough on right-handed hitters, DC, and the Reds have 6 in their lineup tonight. So really good on paper spot for him. I think we see normal duration out of him here. He's thrown 96, 88, and 93 pitches in his 3 starts in September. I think he's a good play. I've been warming up to Priester throughout the day here in a game where, they can pop the champagne afterwards. So I like Priester a good bit. He's probably more of like, I play 20 lineups. I think he's more in the pool there, than going out of your way to play him on a main. But I also like the Brewers bats here. You mentioned Littell's, he's been fine, but he does lead the league in home runs allowed. He's given up 36 bombs this season. It's been the main thing that has really hurt him. So, this is a full effort spot for the Brewers. They're going to go under-owned again, and they're at home. I mean, I would assume that they want to end their division rival Reds season. The Reds are, I think, 1 game back right now of the Mets. The Brewers can clinch the 1 seed.
It's absurd that the Mets and the Reds have essentially the same record.
The Brewers can clinch the 1 seed and end the Reds season tonight. I really like the Brewers as contrarian plays. I'm going to have plenty at the top of this order tonight. We don't currently have the lineup, but I could see them doing some damage. And on the slate where we're able to spend, actually, we just got the lineup. We're able to spend. I really like the top 5 here. Lots of power, obviously, in all those spots.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. My one concern with Priester, well, the price is one, but the Brewers did have a day off yesterday, so their entire bullpen is rested. So you could see potentially a quicker hook for Priester. But in general, they've really let him go. So just kind of speculation there. But, I mean, that's what we're doing anyway. Let's go to the Angels and the Houston Astros. A must-win game for Houston here, about as must-win as you can get at this point in the season. 2 right-handers going here. Kyle Hendricks who's put up 28 plus DraftKings points in 2 of his last 3. Of course, a -6 sandwiched between those. It's Kyle Hendricks for you. I don't really want to play Houston here, so I'm probably not going to, but they've obviously got to be in play against Kyle Hendricks in Angel Stadium. Good place to hit tonight, looks like, with some warmer weather, some favorable winds as well. And then Alexander, we've talked a lot about him.
Yeah.
Big splits. Has pitched okay for Houston, but he's been very, very effective against right-handed hitters. I don't think we have the Angels lineup here,
We
but
just got it. I've got it up on the screen now.
is it just 2 lefties? That's what I thought it was going to be.
Seanwell
and Rengifo.
So, yeah.
Alexander's been awesome against right-handed hitters. Super high strikeout rates for this lineup, essentially across the board, right outside of Shanuel. But everyone else is like 25% plus against right-handed pitching. I do think there's potential for a very quick hook from Alexander with the Astros. There's just no chance in hell they're going to let him eat one if he's not going well.
No.
But again, we mentioned it previously. I mentioned it on a lot of shows. You probably weren't winning, or probably aren't going to win, almost certainly not going to win, with a pitcher who's in contention to get pulled in the 2nd or 3rd inning anyway. So I do think Alexander is interesting as a tournament play here. What's the ownership looking like on Alexander?
Under 5%. We haven't gotten a right-handed pitcher against the Angels this low in a long time. I know both of us used Lorenzen last night. He had almost 30 DK. Is Jason Alexander that much worse of a pitcher than Michael Lorenzen? No.
It's the same spot, And Alexander, Lorenzen has actually got some reverse splits. Alexander is the opposite of that. He's really good against righties. So I got to be in on some Alexander tonight. Not playing Hendricks. No interest there. And then I do think the Astros are good plays on paper, but I don't know. There's a few offenses that I like better. I don't know if I'm going to get to the Astros myself. Never really feel great having the Astros bats, and that's true again tonight. Steve, what are you looking at? Astros and Angels.
Yeah, and usually this park is played pretty well for hitting for most of the season, but it's cooler there tonight. I was just pulling up on Ballpark Pal. It's in the 60s where it's been in the 80s for most of the year. I'm with you on Alexander. Right-handed pitchers against the Angels are just a cheat code. It has been for weeks. I'm gonna play it through the end of the season. I don't see any reason to stop now. It's just a perfect matchup for a guy who's been really good in the split against righties. So hoping that people overlook that. 5 innings of Alexander against this lineup at 6,500, I think can easily be optimal. So at his ownership percentage here, I've just got to have interest. And then I would like the Astros more here if we had, Crochets on the slate or Scooball because of the price tags. I don't love it. They are cheap though, so I'm sure they'll be popular. They've been popular all week. I'll probably have some, just because it's the matchup with Hendricks, but they're definitely not in my top 5 here.
You like Alexander or Wentz better?
I think I like Wentz better because he's at home here in a better. I feel like the Pirates, get shut out more often here than the Angels do. I kind of feel like Wentz has a clean outing more often than Alexander does, but I'm going to be over the field on both of these guys for sure.
Yeah, same for me. I agree with that take. I do think Wentz is the more likely pitcher to have the full leash as well. I could see a situation where Alexander's even pitching well and they still go to the bullpen just because,
especially if the game's close. Especially if the game's close.
It's Jason Alexander in a must-win game. Are you really going to keep running him out there and pressing your luck? I'm not sure. So I do still like him, but if I have to choose, give me Wentz over Alexander. I do think they're both strong plays tonight. Let's go to San Diego for the Padres and the D-backs. Padres is not a lot to play for, right? Is my read there? I think that's
Padres. So the Cubs won this afternoon. So the Cubs magic number is 1. So the Padres technically can still catch the Cubs because they do have the tiebreaker against the Cubs. So if they end up tied, then the Padres will host the Cubs next week instead of vice versa. So this is kind of like the last stand here for the Padres.
Yeah, makes sense. Should be a full go from them, I think. Those go off against Zach Gallen, thrown from the right side for Arizona. And then the D-backs, must-win game for them, right? Trying to claw their way into the playoffs. They need to have this one. It'll be Yu Darvish going for the Padres. It's been pretty decent, 3 starts in a row. Not a lot of duration from Darvish. He's been a really popular play for a number of
games. He's going to be popular again tonight.
Frankly, if you've just kind of faded Darvish, you've probably done okay in general in the long haul. He's had a couple good games. I'm not playing Darvish here.
No.
Give me Wentz. Give me Alexander. We'll talk about the Giants guy later. But a locked-in Arizona team, obviously, that's swinging it pretty good recently. I'm just going to pass on a how on is Darvish? Do we have the number there? It's
I think he's going to end up like 20%. It's been going up. No outs prop on him. And the Padres have shown that they will go to the bullpen whenever, because they do have, obviously a top 3 bullpen in baseball. I've got big time concerns with a popular Darvish here against a team that just really, really needs this game.
Yeah, count me out on Yu Darvish tonight. Not going to go there myself. I do think some of these, really the top of the order for the D-backs looks good. Kind of like the Mets, right? I really like that Lindor, Soto, Nimmo combination. And I like the Perdomo, Cattell, Carroll combination. Carroll has owned Yu Darvish. Pete Lally shouted that one out. A little BVP action for us there. But yeah, I think the D-backs top of the order gets to Darvish here. Wouldn't be surprised to see them do some damage in the first inning, get off to the races early on. They will have to go against, even if they do go off, probably a decent Padres bullpen. But I still do like the Diamondbacks as a contrarian option. I'm going to pass on Darvish at what I think is inflated ownership. And then I'll pass on Zach Gallen for sure. Looks like the field will as well, but he's actually pitched really well. I just can't quite do it at 8,300 against the low strikeout Padres team. Your thoughts here, Steve? Diamondbacks and Padres.
Yeah, kind of weird for Gallen too. They pushed him back. They didn't let him start yesterday. They instead just got killed by the Dodgers. Not super sure why they did that, in a must-win game. But here we are. I agree with you. It just doesn't feel great playing into a popular Darvish when we do like the guys around him who I think are in much, much better matchups. It's not like this Diamondbacks team is a plus matchup for him. They've got a very low strikeout rate, 7th lowest strikeout rate over the last month. They're kind of middle of the pack offense. So I'm going to play the pitchers against the Pirates and the Angels in this range over a guy who's going to get pulled the second he gets in any trouble. I mentioned how weak second base is earlier. I think Ketel Marte is one of the best one-offs on the entire slate here at a position where there's not much upside on the entire slate. Marte could lap the field here. So I'm going to keep him in there. Him and Carroll, elite one-offs on this slate.
You can also run on Darvish, which is good for the top 3 in that lineup that we like for the – I think that's still true with Darvish. Yeah, 9 stolen bases allowed and limited innings. So, yeah, that Diamondbacks top of the order at low ownership does look good to both of us. We'll keep it moving. Mariners and Dodgers are up next. George Kirby going for the Mariners, 9,400. Emmett Sheehan for the Dodgers at 8,400. Both these guys have been pretty darn good down the stretch. Kirby with 2 big outings in a row. Sheehan's been a guy that we've been on all season. We did see yesterday, Steve, the Mariners, who still have. We were talking in Discord.
Yeah,
we think maybe something like a 3 to 5% chance at the 1 seed, but they seem to have prioritized rest over chasing.
mm-hmm.
Even if they win their last 3 games, still probably would not get it. They would need help from other teams, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. So it seems like the Mariners, and honestly, I think rightfully so, are looking toward the postseason. And, if they get super lucky or it comes down to Sunday, that could be a different story. But for now, I think they are going to be a little bit cautious with George Kirby and frankly the rest of this lineup too. What they pulled most of their guys after, was it 5 or 6 innings?
Yep, they basically pulled all of the regulars after the 5th and 6th last night when they were up. I don't know, it was like 5-0, something like that.
Yeah, a game not out of reach. You have to assume that they're going to have a similar strategy again tonight. I believe their playoff odds tonight are they're in the playoffs. Their number 1 seed odds tonight are lower than they were yesterday. So,
yeah, because they need both the Blue Jays and the Yankees to lose 2 out of 3 or all 3, and then Seattle has to sweep.
Also, yeah, when you combine the math odds, it just doesn't look good for the Mariners. And listen, I'm sure they know the exact number, exactly what they need. And it seems like they've made the conclusion that it's too low of a probability when you weigh it against getting your players rest, risking injury, all that stuff. So you and I both bet the under on Kirby's out props, which I believe was 16.5, I think is what we got it at.
Yeah.
I
think this is a 5 and fly, for Kirby,
That's what I expect. 5 innings out of
Kirby. Also, he's not cheap facing the Dodgers.
And it's not a good matchup.
And he's going to be the second highest owned pitcher on the slate. I think this is a great fade spot, honestly. Like I want to pull that 30-some% and dump it in these cheaper pitchers tonight. Yeah,
me too. I'm not playing Kirby. I don't like Sheehan here either. I mean, I played him a ton. I know you have as well. And I know obviously the Mariners could pull their starters early, but that's not going to help Sheehan, right? He's going to have to face this lineup, a top lineup, frankly, over the last month or so. While he's in there, they're not going to pull him before Sheehan's out of there unless he goes super deep into this game. So I'm out on both of these guys. We see high ownership. I mean, both these guys projected in the 20% ownership. I don't want to say an easy fade, but these guys are not making the cut for me, Steve. I'm out on Sheehan, Kirby. And I don't love the bats here either. We talked about the concerns for the Mariners in terms of playing the whole game. And then the Dodgers, obviously, it's not a great matchup against a good pitcher in Kirby. I still think Ohtani, Freeman, Muncy, these guys are in play against Kirby, who does give up a little bit of power. But I do think there are better spots to go to. And I guess a long time talking about a game that I'm probably not going to play much from in general. Your overall thoughts here, Dodgers, Mariners?
Yeah, no, but it's important because both these guys are going to be popular. I'm not going to play any Kirby. I think that people are overlooking what happened yesterday, and I think that Seattle just kind of showed their hand, right, with what they want to do. I do have some interest in Sheehan. I think it's more of the price point and the upside that he brings within each inning, right? He's got a 33% strikeout rate since August 1st. He's been so good. Slate bests in expected ERA, xFIP, strikeout rate. I think he can be optimal here in 4 or 5 innings. It is a tough matchup, but I don't know. We've been riding him. I just kind of want to keep on it here. I think both guys go 5 innings in this game. The Dodgers are locked into their seed, so they have nothing, no reason to push him. They clinched last night, so I don't think we have their lineup yet. Could get a couple guys sitting. So, if you're planning on playing some Ohtani one-offs, just keep an eye on that Dodgers lineup here. So while I don't want to play a bunch of bats against them, I'm not going to play Chuck Kirby with the I think are underrated risks in his duration here at a high price point. I mean, he's priced like he's going 6-7 innings here against a mediocre to bad team. He's probably going 5 innings against the Dodgers. So completely out.
I wouldn't even like Kirby here just in a normal slate, in the middle of June or whatever. So
I'm going to keep the one-offs of the studs here just because we're going to have salary where I want Saber to pull them where it makes sense. But that's about it.
Ohtani's still chasing individual accolades, right? You mentioned in the Discord he's close to 150 runs, which is a milestone. And what do the MVP odds look like for the National League? I assume he's right in the mix there.
I think he's got a big lead in the MVP for the betting odds. Yeah,
that's fair enough. But that would kind of make me think that they maybe let him finish and try to close out an MVP season. Obviously, a big deal there. But yeah, overall, I mean, if you want to move off of this game entirely, Dodgers and Mariners, I think that's much better than playing a lot of players from it, hitters, pitchers, and otherwise. So there you go, Seattle and LA. Let's go to Sutter Health Park for the Royals and the A's. Two teams eliminated from contention here. We did just get the Royals lineup. I was hoping they would send out their normal dudes. I think they will. They seem like kind of a team.
Yeah, got it up on the screen here.
Yeah. Yastrzemski, Witt, Pasquantino, Garcia, Perez. Looks like a pretty good top 5 to me, Steve, against Mason Barnett, who's not any good. He actually has some reverse splits as well, where he's really struggled against right-handed hitters and also allows steals. I should have gone down to 6 because Carter Jensen has been legit for the Royals. He's going to be a stud, I think. I like this Royals team a ton. In one of the best hitters parks of the slate, one of the best matchups, bad bullpen behind him, nothing to play for the A's, and it does seem like the Royals putting their best foot forward here in the final games of the season. They'll go with Royals will Noah Cameron, 3 big outings in a row for him. Really strong season, kind of under the radar for the Royals. I didn't end up getting to Cameron at 8,700, but I don't think he's a crazy play given how good he's been recently. And there are a lot of strikeouts in this A's team. Any interest in Cameron? I know you're on the Royals bats with me. Talk to us, Steve, Royals and A's.
Yeah, it's going to be all bats for me here. I think the Royals are the best stack on the entire slate tonight in this park. It just kind of seems like, they end the season scoring a bunch of runs in this series. We get to play Sacramento one last time. It's going to be around 90 in this game. It's, a lot of the games that we've talked about have been really cool weather. The Royals have been swinging it down the stretch, 7th in weighted runs created plus, 7th in ISO over last month. Mason Barnett's gotten torched all season. And then I looked it up. DC, this is a bullpen spot here too. The only left-handed pitcher in the A's bullpen is the closer, Hogan Harris, because their other lefty threw 44 pitches yesterday. So that kind of helps out, the Caglianones, the Yastrzemskis. We've seen him get pinch hit for leading off. So it just makes me like this more. So really, really like the Casey side here. I think on the A's side, I'm going to play the power bats against the lefty Cameron. I think Langoliers and Rooker and Kurtz, just really strong place here in this park. Cameron's been good, but an extreme fly ball pitcher going into this park. He probably gets touched for a bomb or two here.
Yeah, chalky Royals, which never feels great, but this is an awesome spot for the Royals.
Yes.
I think, we've both been, I think, lower on the Royals, especially in chalky spots in general, and that's mostly worked out, but yeah.
I will say one pivot that I think is super interesting if you're going to 5-man the Royals is everyone's going to play Salvi at 3.8. Jensen has been really good, and look at the discrepancy between the ownerships here, DC. They're the same price, catcher only, and you're getting Jensen at, a third of the ownership, a quarter of the ownership. So,
and plus you mentioned the lack of lefties in the
Yep.
A's bullpen, which is something that unless you're really digging into baseball here on September 26th, you're probably going to miss something like that. So these Royals lefties do make more sense than normal even. Does bring us to the last game on the slate. We go to San Francisco for the pace-eating Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. Rockies will go with German Marquez, 3-15 on the year, rocking a 6.5 ERA. It's been a rough ride for the Rockies. It's not like a run differential thing. As the Rockies have actually outperformed their run differential. They're the worst team record-wise, but they're like a just historically awful season for the Rockies. I'm sure they're ready to get on out of here. Marquez has been awful home, away, hasn't mattered.
He's been worse outside of Coors somehow.
Yeah, I actually think Marquez has some talent, but you get beaten down. You're in the Rockies organization for like half your life, like Marquez has been, and
might be one of those guys like where if he went to a team that has a good pitching coach, might be able to tweak some stuff. But yeah, it's been rough.
Not the case tonight. Stuck with the Rockies at least for one more start here. I'm not going to many Giants, just I guess because of the park, but as a pitcher,
I am.
Okay. You might actually be able to talk me onto some Giants bats. I guess maybe I was blinded by my love for old McDonald. Trevor McDonald going for the Giants here. 24-year-old pitcher, right-handed pitcher who didn't put up, frankly, very good numbers in AAA pitching most of the year, but he did have to pitch in the PCL, I think Sacramento or somewhere. Just a very, very tough pitching environment for McDonald, where really nobody puts up good numbers pitching on those West Coast, some of those West Coast parks. Vegas, I think he's got to pitch in, like Oklahoma City, just some really tough places to pitch. He did pitch well last time out against the Dodgers of all teams. Made it 6 innings, just 1 earned run there, 89 pitches, just 3 strikeouts, but you get 10 ground balls. Looking at the stuff plus for McDonald, he does look okay. Seems like he's kind of just got the prerequisite amount of stuff to be okay, potentially at the big league level. Again, I'm not trying to say that Trevor McDonald's going to, come out next year and light the world on fire, but I do think the Giants give him a chance here if he's pitching okay to go 5-6 innings.
Yeah.
And of course, the bigger thing is the matchup against the Rockies. It's almost all right-handed bats as always. They're the worst offense in the league by far. McDonald's is 4K, and we think he's going to throw 90-plus pitches. So, I mean, this is just one that I'm going to play it and live with the results, good or bad. There's no talking me off of Mr. Trevor McDonald here. And I'll load up on some bats with McDonald, especially, Steve, on a slate where we don't love the top-end pitching. Yeah. There's question marks, duration on a lot of pitchers tonight. Man, I think McDonald could throw the second or third most pitches of any pitcher on the slate. So I'm playing him 4K. And, yeah, I'm playing him on FanDuel too, P. Lally. I'm fine with it at 6K. Listen, you got through 6 innings last time. I think they'll let him do it if he can do it, which is kind of the benchmark you need on FanDuel because you get the quality start. Obviously, the win important over there too. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm in on Trevor McDonald here, and he is mostly what I'm playing in this game. Sounds like you have more interest maybe in the Giants bats than I do, which I totally understand. But talk to us, Rockies and Giants.
Yeah, I've got interest in both. I'm going to play a shitload of old McDonald here, hand in hand with DC on the last show. They're giving him a look. I think they want to see what he's got for next season.
100%.
I expect full go for him here on a slate like we've talked about, with a lot of question marks for duration. I think the guys who are basically a lock for 90-plus pitches are Bieber, Alcantara, and Trevor McDonald. I'm just going to take the gift that DK gave us, which is a 4K home favorite starting pitcher, full length, against the Rockies. So you don't really have to say more than that. I do like the Giants bats too here. We're going over, so I'll be short. Marquez, more walks and strikeouts. He's given up 3.04 home runs per 9 since August 1st. That's more than double anyone else on the slate. 9.89 ERA over the last 2 months with a 7.75 expected ERA. They're not normally a target in this park, but I don't love a lot of spots today. The bullpen behind him is entirely right-handed besides Peralta, who threw 28 pitches last night, probably unavailable here. So helps the pinch hit lefties in the Giants lineup like Eldridge, Gilbert, and Lee. So kind of the same deal with the Royals. I'm going to be heavy on the Giants here. Some more late night bats this week. I'm going to be very heavy on the Giants. We've got Saber here. We don't have the lineup yet, but 10% and less against German Marquez and the Rockies bullpen. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to join you on a Giants stack in one of my 5 DraftKings lineup. Makes a lot of sense to me. Eldridge hasn't done a ton yet, but still sitting there at 2,700. We know the power with him is 100% legitimate. So good play tonight if you need a cheaper first baseman. We are running overtime, but last regular season show of the year makes sense to go in depth on such a complicated slate. Steve, let's get to our favorite pitchers on the slate. I'll start it off. I'm punting all the way down at pitcher today. My favorite combination by far on the slate, Joey Wentz for the Braves and old Trevor McDonald for the Giants. 4K and 6K pretty much allows you to get more or less any bats you want into your lineup. Seems like a good path forward to me. Those are my 2 guys tonight. Steve, who else are you looking at?
I like Bieber if you're going up top. I think the Bieber-McDonald combo, very, very strong. I want duration upside out of my guys tonight. Both of those have it. My favorite tournament guys, I like Slade Ciccone here against Texas, and then Alexander and Wentz, who we talked about. JBC did text me that there's some weather concern in Atlanta. So between now and lock, if you're an RPS member, we'll get DC's thoughts on the weather there, since we know that he's on the pitcher, Wentz, in that spot.
It'll be disappointing if I have to move off of my guy, Joey Wentz. So we'll see on that. Stack, Steve, give me your top 3 stacks you're looking at tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be KC and San Fran are my top 2 here, stack-wise. I really like the Brewers as a contrarian stack against Littell, who does lead the majors in home runs given up.
Makes sense there. I'm in on the Royals for sure. I like these Diamondbacks a little bit against Yu Darvish, the top of the lineup in particular, and then the Braves, assuming the weather holds up in Atlanta, which I certainly hope it does. But yeah, that'll do it for this show. Steve, appreciate everybody watching all season long. It's been a very, very fun season doing the show pretty much every day for me. I'm joined by, of course, Boyden, JT, Big T, everybody along the way. And we'll be back on, for sure, Tuesday morning, talking some playoff baseball, but probably some other slates as well. And yeah, hopefully some winners tonight. Fun slate to wrap it up. But running over time, we do need to get out of here. And until Tuesday morning, he's Steve Boyden. I'm DC. We're out of here.